Hey guys, welcome back to Thread Quarters. My name's Jenny and I'm the Quilt Junkie and it's time for another video. I've got a major finish on the quilting front and a whole bin of WIPs to share. Lots of progress since I've seen you last, so grab a drink and a snack and let's do it. Okay, let's just get started with some FFOs that I have, because I actually have two. Addie's with me. She's being a gremlin right now. She's already chewing on scraps of batting. Yeah. We'll see how this goes. So, anyway, if you remember last time we were here, I pulled out of Jarlos, America, land that I love, for a fully finish, and I did finish it. I just finished it in a little pillow that I'll put on my tier tray or in my dough bowl. This is a little baby. I just made a pillow. I don't remember what this is stitched on, some kind of raw linen. And this is a scrap from a quilt that I finished for my bunny a few years ago. That was made out of my granddad's shirts that she saved. Get down. So there's that. I may go back and put a little cording or something on the edge, but future Jenny, I cut this a little too close. So when it wraps, you can't see the front. So I was just in real excitement to get this finished. So I didn't really think that through, but it's fine. She'll do. I don't even know whose pattern this is. If I can find it, I'll include it. But this girl's been sitting in my project roll for a while. So that, thank you, Jarlos, for your contribution to my to-do list. And the next one is Izzy Decayin by Silver Creek Sampler. This is a soft finish I did on my sewing machine. I mitered these corners. Do the dots not lining up bother me? A little bit, not gonna lie. But we're just gonna roll with it because finished is better than perfect. And this is on a fabric, some kind of Ada that I got from Facebook. And I just put a dowel rod through here, I painted it. And then this on top is actually some baling wire that was left out. And Jack was gonna get rid of it, and I was like, absolutely not. And so I've been using it, but I was gonna move this. You can, when you hang this on the wall, you can put it obviously wherever you want. I'll probably put it up here to cover the nail that it'll sit on eventually. But I was going to show you that I wrapped the baling wire around here pretty loosely, so this dowel can slide in and out, and I can use the finish for my next one. So this just slides, this dowel, like I said, I just loosely wound this so it can slide in and out, and I can use it for another finish. I can change this if I want to something that matches, it's more festive. And on the back of this, I just did a little hanging sleeve where you can just slide that in. I love a mitered border. It's I think that's genetic, and then I did tack this in a few places just so it wouldn't sag. Let me see. You can't even see it. I just used black thread in my black stitching in like 4 or 5 places. And just tacked it down. Like here's one little stitch. So that's going to be something that I keep handy, and just my plans are anything that is remotely this size that I can put on this dowel and interchange it and keep the same nail in the wall instead of a lot of different holes in the wall. Well, I also had something that's not with me. I made a little kind of like pack and stitch for Mill Hill kits, but I already sent that off to Janelle. Here's what it looks like. It's very handy because it has space for the little like magnetic wooden frames and all that goes in it, and keeps things kind of put together, including a tacky bill for your beading. I like to have everything together. I hate chasing beads. I don't know, I can't be alone in that, but I'm gonna make me one eventually. It's on my list, but I don't, like I said, that's already in the mail. Hopefully it's landed by now, but I did work on that, which is sewing, but stitching adjacent, I guess, as a tool. So I have been partaking in Neglected November thanks to Sarah Does All the Things over on Instagram. And basically she had a prompt that was called Neglected November, and it really just inspired me to go through my WIPs and see what I want to work on and what I haven't touched. So I did things that I haven't touched this year, and really kind of stitched on them for a while to see if I wanted to either keep them or cull them. And I did cull a few just because they weren't bringing me joy, if you will. I think I may put one up for adoption, and I've got some that are just in timeout because I need to go back and figure out where the stitching went wrong, because I know it's off, and of course it's not something that you can kind of flub, so I got to figure that out, but that's for future Jenny. Let's just jump in with what I've worked on. I use Notion. I forgot that I use Notion, but I do. Here's my Notion board. I like this kind of setup looking at the calendar, because you can see where days that I stitched. We did go to the deer lease here, and of course Thanksgiving I didn't, but for the most part I touch something creative every day. I try to do that and read. So I like Notion because I can see what I'm doing in a couple of different views, like an aerial view on this map, on this calendar I like. So I'm just going to start with where I was, since I think last time I was here was mid-October. I know I worked on my Texas flag. This is my Texas flag, and she's at 35%. And I got down to the bottom. I can't remember if I was here, if all this blue was done last time. Probably. I feel like that's way too much. Oh, this is stitched on a 16 count Ada easy grid, I'm pretty sure. Just if you're curious. I'm being pulled to do more full coverages, thanks to Beth, but let me show you. This is how I have kept her floss. I like to use these sometimes, but like this is just reds, whites, and blues. I don't know that I would use this. I'm kind of stitching my next full coverage out of my master set. I kitted this up, and I like to use these sometimes. I don't know. I still kind of mess around with my organization of my floss, but I do like this method. So I like to braid these off of this keeper, and then you can just hook a single thread and pull straight up and out, and it won't cause a problem. I just put this on here, so I haven't braided it in yet, but you can see that I have a couple braids going, and then I'll kind of incorporate them as I go. I also am guilty of liking a long piece of thread, and with that comes a lot of responsibility to keep it unknotted. But that's the way I like to roll, so just find ways to work around it. Preference, personal preference. The next thing that I worked on was Forget Me Not, which is a memorial piece for one of my pups. And I got this motif. This is going to be a huge project. This is Modern Folk Embroidery. I don't know that I'll stitch the whole thing, but I'm going to stitch it for a while and decide later. And that's stitched on some linen, Edinburgh linen, I'm pretty sure, with some silks. And I've enjoyed working with silks. There is a Gloriana that I'm using. This is called Blue Lilac. And then this is Dinky Dye's Charcoal. The next one I have is, Arranging Microbes. This one is probably my oldest WIP, I think, that I've got working. This is being stitched in DMC on some kind of random Ada. This is by Ink Circles. It's called Arranging Microbes, and here's where I'm at so far. I worked on this area. I'm going to have to go back and fix this auger plate here. I don't know what happened. It's not circular at all. But anyway, this is a paper pattern, so I have no idea the percentage, but by looking at this, we're closer. And that's what matters here, okay? We're closer. So that's been a fun one. I don't know why I haven't stitched that. I'm pretty sure just because it's a paper pattern. I have found that I like stitching off of my iPad. It's far superior. I think the biggest thing with markup is you can select the symbols that you need it to find, and it calls them out, so that's a huge help. The next one that I pulled out was my Cathedral Woods Goddess, and I use it at 56%, but that's not including the beading. So this is where she's at. I got to the bottom of her dress here, and now we're just working on all the vines. Stitching with this with Sam, and this has been really fun to pull out. I do a little Krynic and then reward myself with some of the Karen water lilies over here. This fabric is Wild Mint by Atomic Ranch. It's a 32 count linen and 56%. Been put in some work there. I hope to finish that next year. That's going to be one of my like top priorities, just because she's more than halfway done, and I want to see her on my wall. How many times are we going to say that? Drink every time I say that. So the next thing I had pulled out was Yellow Submarine. And this is where we are at. Again, paper pattern. I don't know the exact details, but this is it. I don't know what fabric this is on. This came out of a needlework store in Lubbock. They didn't even know what this was, but it feels like a 28 count. So if that tells you anything. And I'm stitching this with DMC, but got this little area done here. I don't know why this feels like a slog. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Okay, and then I got out Mary Morgan's, which lives in another keeper. And this is the one I'm considering putting up for adoption because I just don't like stitching on the Ada that I chose, let's see, in 2023. This is a Mystic Fabrics Silver Mist Ada. It's fine. It's just a little loose. That's, I mean, again, personal preference. This is at 16%. And look, listen, hear me out. So when I look at this from afar, this is what's keeping me interested because it looks so good from way back. But when I get up close to it, like I said, the Ada just feels loose and like almost see-through. So I keep thinking like when I get it framed and they stretch it, or I stretch it, or whoever stretches, is it gonna be holy? I'm not sure. So it's not top priority. I just keep kind of plugging away at it. Like I said, I mean, we're here now. So I put some stitches in, but I still have almost 30,000 to go. And here's the DMC that's called for. Again, I braid them. Very classy painter's tape method. And I like the colors, especially for a sampler. She's pretty fresh. I also stitched on Festive Forest. This was a Jingle Ball pattern from last year. So I don't feel that bad because she's just 1 year old. So it's all good. But it's by Blue Flower. And this is where this is at. I was drawn to this because the way that this will be finished. So I don't have anything finished like that, but I think I can do it. And we'll just have to see when we get there. This is stitched on 32 count fiber on a whim linen in the color Cypress. And I think that with linen, I'm gonna next time probably reach for 36 count. I like 32 count even weave, but this linen in particular feels a little loose. Not a big deal, just a preference that we're working through. You don't know what you don't know. And you don't know what you like until you try it. So this guy's at 57%. This is being stitched with all the called for, which includes some, oh, this girl needs a braid. Look at this, she's just so wretched. Ugh. So this has got some DMC in here, some Roxy floss, some Weeks, which is fine. I don't know. I just feel like Weeks shreds on me. Maybe I'm too aggressive, but the Roxy floss has been nice. So this is where we're at. Oh, look, matches my Sienna. What? Then I pulled out my Weasley Nutcracker, which lives in a Black Needle Society bag. This is a Vickery collection. I stitched this last year and finished it as a stand-up, and I'm now working on this one because it reminds me of a Weasley. Let me show you how far I got. This is a paper pattern. I have no idea the percentage, but I'm this far. Yep, I know it's hairy. I'm a waist knot stitcher. Sorry if that bothers you, but basically did his body and what's looking like a belly here. Ooh. So that's been fun, especially like this Ada is Kit Ada. She's crunchy, but at the end of a computer day, it's easy to see. And this came as a kit, so the floss is a fun time. I don't know if I'll stitch any of the other ones. I'm thinking that one for sure. I wish this one wasn't profile, but probably this one. I don't really like this one because the colors are kind of drab and I'm not a wine drinker, but whatever. Anyway, so this came as a kit to stitch the whole thing together, which don't tell me what to do. Next came my Forest, Alessandra, Adelaide, Foresta di Inverno, and I started this last year with some folks, some Midwestern ladies. I think Tona had this kit in last year, and when I met her at the Jingle Ball, I saw it and I thought, add to cart. 32 count fiber on a whim in the color Stone, and I think this is another one that's pulling me to a 36 count. It's just a little loose. Again, no big deal. But this to me is just stunning because it is 3 colors of DMC, and the layering of these happy little trees is definitely drawing me right now. I think this is just such a cool piece. So this is up to 37%. But that's been fun. And I guess I also stitched on my Reflections of New Orleans. I can't remember what percentage this is. Let me see if I can find it quickly. But I mean, you can tell it's not halfway. But I'm trying to do better at this. I started this as a anniversary piece for Jack and I. I mean, he doesn't care, mostly just me, but you know. This is at 34%, so this is stitched on something from the Hoblob, 32 count even weave, and then the floss is Pirate and Robin Joker. which is a good time. So heavily variegated, but it's been a fun challenge to kind of pick and choose to place it where I think that it needs to go or doesn't need to go sometimes because it gets a little muddy. So I said this before, but anybody that's like, what the hell are you talking about? So let me show you a untouched skein here. This is how it comes. Okay. This is how she comes. She arrives to your door, ready to work. And since they are so variegated, my method to keep the colors together and not muddy, I stitch 2 over 2 in this case. So I'm going to double this. And again, I know a lot of people don't like floss this long. I do, okay? It's me. If you don't, cut it shorter, that's fine. But almost in this case, if you cut it shorter, what's the point of the variegation? Because you're going to turn this into just green or purple. So I like to leave it longer. And then when I double it, you line it up so that the greens and the purples hit the same so you can see the variegation throughout. So another thing too is I loop one in the green and looped one in the purple. So as I'm stitching, I can make them seem like they're flowing together, whether I need to pull a purple one or a green one so they are more seamless. I know that's hard. That's kind of hard to explain, but if I'm stitching here, so you can see I just ended this right here, this purple. And so if I didn't have the option to pull purple and let's just say, okay, my other skein's going to start at green, it's going to have like a change that fast. And I just don't want to do that. So I would pull this one because when I start down here, when I use this to start, it'll go from purple back to green. And then when I end that thread, I'll grab off of this one and start and go from green to purple. So it's a pendulum basically that you're working back and forth. But I think that my method here, this is the first time that I've really kind of focused on that, is working out because nothing seems super muddy or like a really abrupt change where you're like, what happened? No one cares except for me, but this is mine. So girl, I'm gonna do it. And it's been fun, like I said, to kind of pick and choose and place. I'm not really focusing on making them match as far as like, okay, this mask has to look like this mask. I just get a little hyper fixated on when the change doesn't make sense. But again, no one cares but me. This is my stocking. And I'm kind of having second thoughts about this. This just proves like how much and how fast your taste can change. So this is Fairy Wool in the Wood, Mary Stitchmas. Okay, I liked all the sewing notions when I first saw this. I liked the sewing vibe here. But I've already changed one thing, and I know I'm going to change it. I will chart this to say Christmas instead of Stitchmas. And I have removed this pack of needles here and replace it with a mug that says So Fetch. I couldn't tell that those were needles until someone told me that they were needles, so I just replaced it. And what I've worked on here, I have finished Santa's coat. Tara sent me a piece of Mom Touched the Pope so I could finish it. And then I finished these scissors, put in this word linen. This is being stitched on a 28 count. I think it's just good old mushroom Lugana. Okay, I think that's all my WIPs, which hadn't been touched since last year. So they either had passed their birthday or were coming up on a birthday. But I do have a few new starts, and I don't want to hear any lip from anybody. The first new start that I have, it may look familiar to you because I have started this before, This is Wilbur by Teresa Kogut. I had this going last year and I restarted it because I started stitching it in hand and these light colors were just not going great stitching in hand. And one of my BFFs of life has started stitching and she got this pattern, so we just started it together, and it's been a true thrill. This is an Ada. Picture this plus something or other. There's some color and cotton in here and DMC and a little bit of my DNA as well. But that's where we're at. So this is a fun new start with one of my besties. And this is a squished penny that I turned into a needle minder. This is from the $1 Million Museum in New Mexico. Fun times. And this is a paper chart too, so I don't know how far I am, but I mean, it's a pig. I already had it kitted. One of my friends wanted to do it, so obvious answer was yes. Okay, the next thing I have is a Christmas wish, and it's Heaven and Earth design with the artwork by Thomas Kincaid. Here's a picture of it. And I started this because I have plans to join the SAL for 2026. So I needed to do some test runs here. So I'm stitching this 2/1 tint, which I've never done before. And it's going to be a tapestry, but there is something oddly satisfying about this. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm enjoying this more than the Ada that I'm stitching my flag on, and it's beautiful, so that's it. There's a few screw ups in here, but you can't tell because it's full coverage, so it's not as precise, and that may be why I'm kind of drawn to this right now, because it's very forgiving. So this is almost 1,800 stitches, and we are at half a percent. Okay, half a percent. I don't care. I don't know. I feel like I may be doing 2026 full coverage only because this is scratching a part of my brain that I didn't know it needed scratching. So that was a start and an addiction. Last month, nope, it was earlier this month because today's still November. I went to my first Quilt Guild meeting in town, local. It was a good time. There was a lot of people there. Everybody was super nice, but I immediately thought I need a name tag. So I'm gonna stitch a name tag, and this will say my name is, it'll look like a sticky name tag. I mean, is it giant? Yeah. But it's funny. So this I got on Etsy. I think it's Subversive cross stitch, but it's a little bigger. I could have charted it myself, but like for $4, come on. Just, this allowed me to hit the ground running. Anyway, that is what I've been working on. Okay, as far as plans go, I do not know what I will have time for. We are in the Christmas season, which means everyone's busy. Everybody's got stuff going on, but I do hope that Heaven and Earth releases the SAL a little bit early because, again, that's just been scratching an itch that I have. Here's the ship again for a quick reminder of what are we doing. And I will start that as soon as possible. Okay, and then like last time, let's see what Jarlos is going to spit out. I have no recollection of what I put on these. Oh, how appropriate. Shiver Me Timbers. This is a Sue Hillis snowman pirate situation. Just one moment. My project roll out here. Roll out. Roll out. Okay. Let's pull him out. How appropriate, because It's Christmas time. I was just talking to Beth about some Sue Hillis. Check him out. This is some Ada that I would like to burn. But this is Shiver Me Timbers. So, I mean, that's killer, but I don't know how I'm going to finish it. You know what? You know what? Could it be?
Could it be? Wouldn't that be crazy if I'm looking at this?
To see if this is close and I could do another soft finish on my reusable. Look at me going green. Saving the planet over here. One FFO at a time. Oh yeah, it's close enough. I can make this work. This is coming together. We'll do another soft finish with him and use my dowel rod method. Change the bow. Do another finish like this. And I'll show you next time. That's exciting. When I started this FFO, I had no idea where we were going, but I had my seatbelt on because I knew we were going to get there. And I knew I wanted to do a soft finish because I like to sew. I don't know if y'all knew that about me, but I like to sew. I can't believe that came together. I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket right quick. Thread quarters is a mess right now because we are in the throes of finishing all the things. Okay, as far as haul goes, I've got a few things. I was trying to achieve free shipping, so literally just added needles, 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 and then a clover pin. This is my favorite white marking pin. Use this for almost everything. I like these needles. These are tried and true Lori Holt 28s. Like those. They're a little small for my man hands, but you know, what isn't? And then I got these. I don't know if I've had these before, but these are Primitive Gatherings.
I can't remember what size they are. Wouldn't it be nice if they said on the tube here?
Not the size, but you know what? I got their phone number if I need to call them. Maybe I'll call them and ask them what damn size this is. And then I got some more applique needles. These are what I like to use for applique. These are Tulip brand. I like these very much. I was working hard for that free shipping. So that was Frat Quarter Shop. 1, 2, 3 stitch order for some Easy Grid. Again, this is 28 count for my ship that I'll be starting. And then I got another Q-Snap. Look at me. Name brand Q-Snap. Shoe fancy. I usually get the ones from, well, you know what? I try to find them on like Mercari or Poshmark. But you just never know if they're going to be like abused or if they're going to fit together. So if I can find them on there, those are resale sites. So if I can find them on there and I can see that they have been put together, that's cool. Because I can, on the snap part of them, you can like boil those for a few minutes and they'll like shrink back down if you feel like they're stretched out. But if it's just like a pile of frame parts and pieces, Addie, that's a little sketch because I don't even know if they're going to go together or if they're just like different pieces of different brands. But anyway, I rescued this little nutcracker from the perils of Poshmark, I think. I'll take it apart and I'll probably make it a different kind of stand-up. Look at his teeth. He's in good shape. So this was $5 whole. That covers it for stitching. It's been a lot of stitching and it's been a real good time. So let me move all this crap out of the way, and I have some big news on the quilting side of life. So BRB, y'all check this out. Look at these polka dots. Hey, girlfriend. You like my coat? Me too. Me too. Me too. This is a huge finish for me. I have had this, Addie. I've had this on my to-do list for years. I got this quilt top on Goodwill a couple years ago, and I didn't want to screw it up, so I had to do a little bit of a trial run with like a really cheap quilt. I don't even know you can call it a quilt because... And anyway, so I wanted to kind of get my mind around it so I didn't ruin this purple camo beauty. So I did that, kind of messed with the sizing and stuff. Jack has a plotter, so that was really easy to print this pattern for that I got off of Etsy. The pattern was really easy to follow. I think that if I do it again, I can use this pattern. It's oversized. It's meant to be oversized. The pockets are nice and big. It doesn't have a closure. That doesn't bother me, but it is something to consider if you are interested in trying this. So the pattern I used was, it's called the Small Museum Blanket Coat. And it's really cool because it's written to make a coat out of any kind of finished blanket. Like those, you could use a tapestry, you could use a fully finished quilt, you could use like, I don't even know what those are made out of, that kind of poly blend from the 90s. We all had those. I think I had one with a horse or a lion on it, maybe both. But this pattern is made for a finished edge. So the one thing that I didn't do, I didn't finish the edges on here. I didn't bind the quilt until I got to the later steps in the process. But I think next time I may go ahead and bind it just to prevent having to do it later. Yeah, ma'am? What are you doing? Is that a good choice? So I got this online, like I said, and I don't know, let me take it off. It's too hot in here anyway. As you can see here, this is made up of about 47 different kind of fabric, and none of it is quilting cotton, okay? This is some kind of like, I would call, I don't even know what this is, honestly. This is some kind of like canvas feeling. I don't know. It's I would call it an outdoor fabric. The white is a shirting fabric. This right here is some kind of thick, like denim adjacent, like it's not denim, but it's like denim's cousin. And then this blue here is like it feels like a batik almost. It's a Hawaiian shirt. I don't know if you've ever felt those that are like genuine Hawaiian. They've got a different fabric. They're not 100% cotton usually. Regardless, listen, none of this was quilting cotton, which I could not determine when I ordered it online. Look, this is like camo pants. Like this is, again, denim's cousin. So we had a lot of thick seams paired with this really thin shirting that you can kind of see some of the seams through. Now, I've worn this a few times in public and no one has stopped me and said, ma'am, I can see your seam. If someone does that, I will say, do you want to be friends? Because clearly you know you're talking about. But anyway, all that to say, this was probably not the best to start with, but me being as stubborn and tenacious, and I really wanted this because it was purple camo. Quitters never win and winners never quit, okay? So keep your eyes on the prize and we're gonna do it. It turned out really good, but I will just say, if you're attempting to do this, this is not for the faint of heart. And the pattern is easy to read, but there's some parts in it that are not beginner friendly because of the way that you've got to really sweet talk your machine to get through some of the thicker parts, the thicker seams. And this is fully lined, y'all. fully lined, okay? All the seams are covered. Have I mentioned to you guys how much I hate round things? So I don't, this is a whole nother thing because this is bias tape. Some of this is store-bought, some of this is out of my bunny stash, and some of this is made from the lining, okay? So once I got the quilt top quilted, then it was time to cut everything out, which was truly the easiest part of the whole process. And then when we went to sewing things together, I realized picking this Moda dot was probably one of the worst decisions of my life, but we were already in it. Backing is a 108 backing, and it's not just regular quilting cotton. It's a little bit thicker thread count, and then two, these dots are kind of printed on there. I could hear my sewing machine kind of pop this ink or whatever this is called on here. We got there in the end, but next time I make this, I would just do some things differently. I have been wearing it. I'm very proud of the way that I was able to cut things and for them to line up and whatnot. So this is a huge undertaking that paid off, and I will just be in the house with the air conditioning on wearing my quilted coat. Okay, thanks, bye. I also had another finish that I had a commission. It was a baby quilt. I don't have it. It was one of those color me quilts that's really scrappy. And I got that delivered. The other thing that I worked on was 2 project bags for Janelle. Again, she sends me, hey, finish this. Here's the size. Here's what I kind of want, go crazy. So that's always preferred. So I got those done into her. And I have been working on some table gifts for our Quilt Guild meeting. So I've been working on some collage quilting. This is, if you remember the jacket I made, I made some road runners using this method. This is just really fun, and it's kind of a brain break. And it's a smaller project, so when you're working on huge quilts, it's nice to have a just break. But this is Midland Quilt Guild, and I have stitched all of this. Okay, so again, this is all collage quilting using steam seam, a little bit of thread painting, if you will. I don't know, it's just kind of using your sewing machine to create these lines and details. So I will frame these. I've got them in several different Whoville colors here. I'll put like a hanger here, something, and then frame these in white frames that Jack spray painted for me. And these will sit on our table. And what's cool about these, which I need to do a little write-up, is you can take, this is just on paper right now. So I'll have these set, but if you take the frame apart, you can just go back and rip these stitches out, and then you can use this as a patch. So you can use a steam seam product or heat and bond, anything that's like double-sided adhesive, you can use that and put it on the back, and then you have a patch where you can either put it on a sweatshirt, denim, jacket, flannel shirt, whatever, if you want to wear it, or you could cut it out and put it on some felt and actually hang it on your tree. But I just like making these patches, and then if you get tired of them in this media format, then you can cut them out and put them somewhere else. So here's a blue option and a pink option. I'll show you these when I get them real done. But these have been fun. Y'all, I hate that. You see that all over social media. I hate that. I've been working on this, and let me show you where I'm at. So these are basically, we're in the stage of creating all these log cabins that you see around here. All these will be log cabins, and then we'll put Santa applique him on after. So we're working on all the log cabins right now. Okay, here's where we're at. Look at this fabric. This is the cutest fabric. I think it's called Swell, but how cozy and vintage is that? Basically, we're just chain stitching all this. Me and all my friends. And this is the process. That's how I like to roll. So I will jump straight to plans from here. I plan on finishing this before Christmas, okay? That's the goal. So this and all these have to get finished before Christmas, okay? I don't have any stitching that has to be done before Christmas, but these two, we gotta shake a leg. I have some haul too. I think I told you I was trying to get free shipping, and I actually needed needles for my Bernina, so I got a few. I got a couple of scraps from the Hobby Lobby. I also got a little bias tape maker for my Raven quilt that I've been working on. I've been stuck because I need this to make the tubes. And then this goes on the back. This is some adhesive tape that once you make the bias tape, this is adhesive and you can iron it on, so it helps hold those little pieces in place, which I'm excited about that because I tried to do it the hard way and that's on pause right now. So I got that. And then I got this thing that's called a binding ease. And I usually don't really go for a lot of trinkets and stuff, but let me show you this one. This little binding ease I got on a whim. I think it was on sale at Fat Quarter Shop. I don't know. I don't really know. It's very impulsive. But basically, you set your iron on here and you can run your binding strip through here. And it saves you like a whole lifetime because you don't have to move your iron down. You just run it through there. It's silicone, so it's not going to burn or catch on fire or anything. And then I got, listen, we just had a rough day, Friday. So I don't want to talk about that, but I got this panel to, I don't know if I'll make a quilt out of it or if I'll cut things out and specifically use them as like applique pieces. But I did get this from Fat Quarter Shop, so you don't see Addie stuff very often, but we'll see what comes of that. So it's a panel, and panel quilts are a good way to kind of hone your skills. Well, my least favorite part of quilting is actually quilting. So I kind of have a goal of getting better at it. But that's what I've been up to, guys. That and a few books. My niece and I read Unbroken. It's a story of Louis Zamperini when he was a POW. That's great. She really enjoyed it, and I would recommend that. I do also recommend any of the Red Rising series. I finished all of those books. I love a good upheaval, and if it's happening in outer space, put me there. And when I was making my coat, I read The Will of the Many with my ears in here. So 5 stars. I will probably listen to that again because I was back and forth in and out of what I was doing. So I think that I will read that another time before I read the second book, which is The Strength of the Few, and it's out. But I want to read that again where I'm more focused and not cursing as much. I think it'll be funner. He says Jarlos in Charge has been fun. We are reading A Christmas Carol for Christmas, and then we're just going to do some free reading until she starts back in January. As for me, I don't know if I'll see you before Christmas or really soon after Christmas, but if I don't, I hope you have the merriest of Christmas and the happiest of holidays, and I hope you get to make something cool. Okay? Bye! Addie's floating biscuits. I hope that's what that is and not something dead in here.